Om. 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 Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om everybody. So we have had a break in between. So I'm just quickly going to recap the chapter. The chapter begins with a question by Arjuna asking what is better, karma yoga or karma sannyas. However, the meaning of karma sannyas that is taken by Arjun is not correct. So he is thinking it is karma sannyas without knowledge, which means the renunciation of karma physically. So the actual question is it better to do karma yoga or to give up karma physically? Now, giving up karma physically without even doing karma yoga is like taking a divorce without getting married. So that is not an option. So of course, obviously, because Bhagwan knows what he means, Bhagwan says for you, karma yoga is vishishyate. It is better. It says both of them, they lead to the same goal. When Bhagwan is saying both of them lead to the same goal, Bhagwan's definition of karma sannyas in Bhagwan's mind is totally different from what Arjun is asking. So karma yoga is same. Arjun and Bhagwan are on the same page, but with karma sannyas, Bhagwan defines karma sannyas as one who is doing karma without doership. So not a physical renunciation of karma. So when karma sannyas is done with the attitude with which Bhagwan means it, then of course both of them lead to the same goal. Karma yoga giving purification, karma sannyas giving knowledge, because the mind is then highly purified, and then there is only one goal and it will be reached. This is what he says. But however, for you right now, karma yoga is superior. Even though, yes, you also see, he thinks physically giving up karma also will give me the higher goal. That is not correct. So he says for you, karma yoga right now is better. Why? Because he has not overcome his likes and dislikes. We should also understand why Bhagwan is saying, because in chapter 1, he said, who are these evil-minded sons of Dhritarashtra who have come? So he doesn't like them. And so dislike is there. Likes and dislikes are there. So Bhagwan says, no, as long as likes and dislikes are there, karma yoga is a must. And that's where we stand as well. We do have likes and we do have dislikes, and that's why. And then Bhagwan goes on to tell him that the Nitya sannyasi, the real sannyasi is one who doesn't have na dveshti na kankshati. He doesn't have any hate and he doesn't have any desire. Desire means like, right? I have desire because I like something. So he says the real sannyasi is one who is without likes and dislikes. Now you have likes and dislikes, so you are not a sannyasi as yet. So karma yoga becomes nirdvandvo hi mahabhavo sukha. So once you become nirdvanda, without, when you go beyond the pairs of opposites, then you will be freed from the bondage, because likes and dislikes are what is creating bondage in our mind. Because of those, we are constantly running, and And then we are creating vasana, we are doing actions. Either we are running towards, that is an action, running away also is an action. Both those actions are binding us. And that's why he says, unless you rise above the pairs of opposites, Sukha Dukha being the main one, there is no freedom. And a sannyasi is one who has risen above both those, but you have not. Arjun has not. So he says that there's different, if childish people, your balaha is childish, not childlike. They say that knowledge and yoga are different. Yoga here, karma yoga. They say Sankhya yoga, which in Bhagavad Gita, Sankhya yoga means, Buddhi yoga means Jnana yoga, and Karma yoga are different, but that is not how it is. They are not different. They are both required in the initial stages. Karma yoga is required for purification. And then once the mind is highly purified, then this Jnana yoga should be gone into. And so they are both required. Then that place which is reached by the Sankhya says is also reached by the yogis, because there is only one place to reach. That is the idea. There is no two different places where, this path will go there and that path will go there. There's nothing like that. There is only one place. Karma yogins will also reach it, because the one who is doing karma yoga correctly, I told you even in 18, the one who does pravrutti, engages correctly with this world, will at one point disengage on his own. Like the leaf, in the spring, the leaf is there, in the autumn, automatically it falls off. Like that, this karma will automatically fall off if the first part is done correctly. We don't do the first part correctly, and therefore till the very end we want to do karma, something or the other the mind is wanting to do. So if the first part, karma yoga, is done correctly, then then it will be it will lead to nivritti, it will lead to this sannyas. And this has to be understood. So the one who understands this then is going to follow that, not suddenly try to take karma sannyas. And he says renunciation, yes, renunciation is the direct means, but it's very hard. Unless you give up likes and dislikes in the mind, you cannot give up karma. It is impossible. So that's why work on the mind first. So yoga havana, steady contemplation, sthita prajna. We heard sthita prajna lakshana in chapter 2, right? The one who is on an equal keel, equanimous in all situations, only can reach Brahman, because Brahman is always equanimous. That is to be remembered. Brahman is equanimous. If you want to become Brahman, you also have to be equanimous first. Otherwise, you can't reach Brahman. This is what he's saying here. 6. And then 7, what happens to this yoga yukta? Yoga yukta joined with yoga means one who has done karma yoga perfectly, has perfected karma yoga. He becomes Vishuddhatma. Atma word is used here. Atma, first Vishuddhatma, mind. He becomes purified. The mind becomes purified. And then Vichitatma, he gains control over the senses. See, if the mind doesn't desire, why would the organs of action go and do that action? Is the mind, desire precedes action, precedes. First, there has to be a desire in the mind. Then the organs of action mind is going to say, okay, I want to do this. Then the organs of actions are going to do whatever, whatever the desire is, right? But if the mind only is saying, no, I don't want this, or I don't want to do this, why the body is not just going to go there to do things which the mind doesn't want. So that's why one who perfects karma yoga means is doing it correctly by following those 5 tenets that were given in chapter 3, becomes purified of mind. Vishuddha Atma, Shuddha Atma here is mind. Pure mind is a mind freed from likes and dislikes. Then he has control over the body and Jitendra over the senses as well. Both mind is the king of the senses. So if the mind is under control, the senses definitely are going to come under control. Sarva bhutatma. Then he comes to see the self in all as the one. Why? Because that kind of highly purified mind will only see the substratum, will only see verse 18 from chapter 4. See the inaction in action and action in inaction. That is what this is. And then it doesn't matter. He does as much action. It doesn't matter because it is not tainting him. Taint is by the vasanas. Taint is to the ego. I told you lipyate, this word limpanti, lipyati is coming from lep. Lep means, when you like, now your hands are dry, so you're putting hand cream on the hands, but there have to be the hands there. Some locus has to be there for that ointment to stick. That way, the locus is the ego for the karmas to stick. They do not stick in physical form, please, subtle form. And that subtlety is coming from the doership, from the notion that I am doing this action. That subtle notion is now sticking to the ego. And this is what is binding us. So if the ego is not there, then there is no question of binding. That's why he says, if you do actions without the notion of doership and enjoyership, no matter how many actions you do, they are not going to bind you. Example is Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, Gurudev, all those masters who worked so much. There's none. Now, in verse 7, is the principle. That is the principle that is given. The result of that principle, the manifestation of that principle, the effect of that principle is 8 and 9. And we take these two verses together. We were here. They had left off here. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manneta tattvavid pashyan shrunvan sprashan jigran ashnan gachan swapan swashan pralapan visrujan grinnan unmisha nimishannapi indriyani indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. I do nothing at all. Thus would the harmonized knower of truth think, seeking, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, breathing, speaking, letting go, seizing, opening and closing the eyes, convinced that the senses move among the sense objects. I have the words by heart written on both these verses by my dad. Okay, not me. It's my dad's writing. I can tell in red. Right? So that means it has come from Swami Purushottomananji. Again, a reminder, it's not come from my dad, come from his Acharya, Swami Purushottomananji. And for those who don't know, he's attained Samadhi. He was one of the first 5 disciples of Gurudev. So extremely senior Swamiji. Okay, he was head of Maharashtra and Goa, Marathi. So Gurudev used to call him my Marathi mouth. That was Gurudev's name for Swami Purushottomananji. My Marathi mouth, he used to say. So let's see now this thing. Basically, very, very simple. I do nothing. This is the experience. This is what the realized, these verses belong to the realized masters. Okay. It is not belonging to us, but we will see how we can also try. We can try. So the realized master is one who has now perfected verse 18 of, because in the context of these chapters, that realized master is the one who has perfected verse 18 of chapter 4, which said he sees inaction in every single action. So every action that is going on, by himself, by others, he sees that one substratum, non-changing, not modifying, not doing anything, because his attention is only on that substratum. How did he get it? He got it by becoming yoga yukta. So verse 7, yoga yukta. So he did his karma yoga. He went into, purified his mind so much that the mind got very purified. It went above likes and dislikes, because of which the senses came under his control, the organs of action came under his control. And because of that, he started getting this vision, the vision of the substratum not doing anything and everything being done. Now here, everything, the senses move among the sense objects. So he knows that the senses are what are doing. are doing all the actions, and all the actions, I don't have to explain that. No matter what he's doing, he's seeing, he's eating, he's smelling, he's touching, he's tasting, he's walking, he's running, he's sitting down, he's watching TV. No matter what he's doing, he is not the doer. Because of that notion that I am not doing, no matter how much action he does in the external world, it is not tainting him at all. It is not creating any vasana for him for his future birth. Okay, a simple explanation. Is this clear? Now, technically, if we want to explain this, Bhagavad Gita is not technical, but we are studying Vivek Chudamani also, some of us at this time. So what is to be understood here, or what he has understood here, is he has perfected the Sat Asat Vivek, which was told to us in Tattva Bodh, that what is the definition of Vivek? Viveka, discrimination, is to know what is Sat and what is Asat. Now he has come to know this. He has come to know that Sat is Chit, and I am that Chit. And then this Asat is Chidabhasa, the reflection of consciousness is happening in the pool of the mind. And that reflection is going on and doing all the things externally. So Chidabhasa itself being false, whatever action is done by Chidabhasa becomes false. A false entity cannot be doing real actions. And I am that Chit. So that Viveka, that discrimination is now perfect. So I am Chit. As Chit, I do nothing. Chidabhasa is doing everything. Okay. Second standpoint. One more standpoint. Because the reason if this was a yajna setting, the first part I would have explained and moved on. Let me tell you. Like I say, I have the freedom of time, and I have people who are attending various classes. So that's why I want to bring all those aspects in there. So for those of you who find this later part difficult, doesn't matter. The first part that I explained, please hang on to that, because that is exactly with respect to these chapters that are going on. So we have done 3, we have done 4, we have done Karma Yoga, we did 4. In 4, we saw action and inaction, verse 18. We saw that, and that is perfected now here. And that's why this thing. So this much explanation is enough. Okay, whoever is explaining can explain on this. But for those of us who have read, Panchadashi, we have read Vivek Chudamani, where Swami Vidyaranya always gives the technical explanation of these verses. And in his chapter 7, this is the technically he says what is happening is there is Chit and there is Chidabhasa. There is the pure consciousness and there's a reflection that is happening in the subtle mind. The master, the realized master, has recognized himself to be Chit, which is really real. And I say, quote unquote, really real. Chidabhasa is only real. It is not really real. It is relatively real because it has a dependent reality. It is dependent on the Chit. It is dependent on the medium. And therefore, no matter what it does in the external world is false. And it is not being done by Chit. This discrimination has now been perfected by this master. That's number 2. Number 3, if we take the context of chapter 3, in chapter 3, Bhagavan said, Guna Guneshu Var. How does action happen? Action happens because of the interaction of the gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. They interact with each other, and that's how action comes. So he has risen above the gunas. Those of who we have studied chapter 14, if you take that into consideration, then this person, this master has gone, he has become gunatita. He has gone, in Vivek Chudamani, Bhagavan said, up to sattva is self-effort. Sattva to Shuddha sattva is grace. He has gotten that grace. He was at sattva level of sattva. He has now become Shuddha sattva, which is pure consciousness. So he knows that whatever is happening is because of the play of the gunas. At sometimes sattva is predominant, so I feel like reading, so I read. Sometimes rajas is predominant, so I feel like cooking, so I cook. Sometimes tamas is predominant, I feel like sleeping, I feel lethargic, and I take a nap. And what am I doing? No. I don't do anything. The gunas are doing all this with the interaction. Okay, and that's why verse 7 is the principle, verse 8 and 9 are the result, where the focus is entirely on the reality. It is on the inaction, quote unquote, inaction, in space action, as per this, where the action, where the attention, the focus is on chit as opposed to the Chidabhasa. Our attention is constantly on Chidabhasa. That's why I go on saying, I do this, I did this, I will enjoy, I'm so good, I'm so this, I'm so that. That is attention on Chidabhasa, whereas his attention is on Chit. He has risen above the gunas. So the gunas are acting, I am not doing anything. Okay? Any questions? All right. Now, verse 10 is actually for us. Okay, so how, because we are not at that stage where we cannot just say, oh, I'm not doing anything. We are not at that stage. So, okay, now what? So now Bhagavan says, then you're not at that stage. Then what should your attitude be while doing action? This is what verse 10 is telling us. So 7 principle, 8, 9, realized master, 10, seeker, not an ignorant person. Because we have now studied up to this one, this should be our attitude. ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यतेन स पापेन पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा. He who does actions offering them to Brahman, abandoning attachment, is not tainted by sin, just as a lotus leaf remains unaffected by the water on it. This is one of the reasons why if you see all the deities, you know, either they're standing on the lotus, or they're sitting on the lotus, or there is a lotus in the hand, or Brahma, lotus is coming out of Bhagavan Vishnu's navel, then Brahmaji is sitting on the lotus. The importance of the lotus, let us understand first. This is a comparison, it's being compared to the lotus, so we understand it. See, lotus, as if you go up to as per botany, the way the leaves are, this is just botanical explanation, okay, nothing to do with Vedanta. There is some the way the leaf is formed inside, it doesn't get wet by the water. The lotus leaf, it floats on the water. It is floating on the water, and it doesn't get wet. Some sort of biological constitution there is, okay? The idea of that lotus being in the water and yet being untainted by the water and being above the water is for us to remain in this samsara, which is full of dirt, but remain clean. That's why this lotus example, and that's why all the deities have some sort of lotus with them. Either they are standing, sitting, holding, something they're doing with the lotus. Okay, one hand will be holding lotus, 4 hands they show, one hand. This is the reason. So for us, just general, okay, not with this verse, just general, the idea is we are born into this world. There is nothing we can do about it. So let us live in this world, but let us not get tainted by this world. Like the lotus does not get tainted or get wet because of the water. Okay, that's number one. Now here, let's understand what sin is. Papa, I've told you this many times, at a very lower level, it is like, telling lies and cheating and no, we are not at that level. Papa here is getting bound to next birth. This is at the higher level. There's a higher level of papa is what is being mentioned here. Sin is because we are seekers. We normal people, most normal people are not doing anything wrong. So that is not what is meant by papa here is meant. If you're getting bound, if you're creating a vasana for yourself to get bound to the next birth, you have done papa. And that vasana could be a good vasana. Anything that binds is sin, as per Vedanta. So even good actions bind us, because good actions bind us to higher worlds. Normally we do, then there is sattvic actions which bind to higher worlds, rajasic actions bind us to this world, and tamasic actions bind us to the lower world. So no matter, even if it is a sattvic action, if it is done with doership, then it is binding you, and it is papa as per Vedanta, because Vedanta is asking you to get freed from all these things. So that is what papa is meant here. Now, so what he says is a seeker. who should do, he who does, offering them to Brahman. See, action is not like a gulab jamun, you put it in a katori and you offer, oh, here is my action, Bhagwan, I'm off. It's not like that. What is to be offered is the doership. What is to be offered? So how do I offer my doership is by saying I'm an instrument of the Lord. That's why karma yoga there. So either instrument or servant of the Lord or for the Lord, anything that I am not doing to satisfy my own ego. I'm doing it as a service to my guru. I'm doing it for my small child, whatever. Something other than yourself. When you do, it becomes Brahmani Adhaya. It's Brahmani Adhaya. Brahmani in Brahman means Ishvara, God for us. Offer it. So offer your doership and do not get attached. This is one of the principles. Prasada buddhi. In Karma Yoga, we study the first point is do every action as a duty. When you consider it to be a duty, then the question of likes and dislike doesn't come. See, if I consider this taking class as a duty, then it's like, oh, I don't like to get up in the morning and then take class. That doesn't come. It is my duty. If I have to get up early in the morning, then I get up early in the morning and I do my class. Okay, so that is Brahmani Adhaya. And then Prasada Buddhi is Sangam Tyaktva Karoti Yaha. So Prasada Buddhi means whatever result comes, I accept. Because I have not done it for myself. I've given you this example. There is a master who tells a servant, very common example we give in Karma Yoga. It says, go to shop A and buy B. Okay, so he's being told. Now this servant goes and he knows that if I go to shop C, this same object B is going to cost me less. He knows that. So when he is acting for himself, suppose he also wants that object B, then he thinks, oh, but why should I only go to A? I should go to shop C because it will be cheaper for me. So he will do that. But when his master has told him, go to A and buy B, he doesn't think it's more expensive, cheap, nothing. He thinks my master wants this particular object from this particular shop. I'm just going to go do it. So if the money is lost, master has lost money. If suppose suddenly that thing was on sale that day, then master has gained the money. It has got nothing to do with me. That is Brahmani Adhaya. That is Brahmani Adhaya. But the minute he starts putting his own thing, oh, but this is so expensive. I want it, but I will go to shop D. That is not Brahmani Adhaya there. So that where his own doership is there, where his own ego is there, that is not Brahmani Adhaya. Brahmani Adhaya means your own ego should not be at play there at all. This has been told by my master. This is my duty. I'm going to do this to the best of my ability. Okay, that one doesn't change. And then when you don't have attachment to the results, then you will not have that much disturbance in the mind. See, we are attached to the results. Even before doing the action, we start thinking of the result. What will happen? Then will I get this? Will I get that? And the idea is that the mind is not at peace. That is the idea. The whole bottom line is mind has to be at peace. Mind has to be at peace. I just read in the book, I've told this also, I've read it before as well. So there was a Mahatma who was fighting one guy, and they were both fighting, and then the Mahatma overpowered, and the disciples were watching. Their master was fighting, the disciples were watching. So at the very end, when he was going to kill him, when the opponent had absolutely nothing, like he had nothing, the only thing he could do is spit in the master's face. That's all he could do, because he had no weapons. He had fallen on the ground. He could not kick. He could not hit. Only thing he would do is spit. So he spat on his face. The minute he spat, the master withdrew. He would have won. All he had to do was just kill him or whatever, he withdrew. So the disciples were very surprised. They said, why at the last minute you are winning the fight? Why did you withdraw at the very last moment when your victory was only seconds away? They said, till the time he spat on me, I was fighting for dharma. I was at peace. It was the right thing to do. But the minute he spat in my face, hatred. And if I would have killed him there that time, it would have become out of hatred. That action would have come out of hate. And I don't want to do anything out of hate. Disturbed, my mind was disturbed, right? So I withdraw. So anything that disturbs your mind, we must try and withdraw. Nivrutti, that's why the one definition of nivrutti in chapter 18. What is nivrutti? What is disengagement? When do you disengage? Anything that bothers your mind, you disengage. You have to disengage. That's why if you consider it as your duty, then it will not bother your mind. Then you will not disengage from whatever is to be done. This botheration comes because you don't like something. Suppose you're told to do something, but you don't like to do it, then your mind is bothering you. And if your mind is bothering you, it is an indication that you have likes and dislikes. It is an indication that I dislike this, and that's why my mind is bothering me. Then it is better to withdraw from that action, because doing that action with dislike is going to create a vasana for you. It's going to bind you. So when you withdraw, at least you're on a neutral keel. You remain neutral. Okay. So this verse 10 is attitude while doing actions. All right. Okay. Now, Kayena manasa buddhya, Kayena manasa buddhya kevalendriyairapi yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. Yogis, having abandoned attachment, perform actions merely by the body, mind, and intellect and senses for the purification of the self. So yogi is one here who is a seeker, who is trying to join to the higher. Yogi here is not a realized master, because yogi word can be used for a realized master also. But here, because actions are done at 3 levels, body does actions, speech does actions, talking, and then there is the mind also, thought. Please remember that thought also binds us. When we have ill thoughts for others, then that thought also it is an action. It is a mental action. There is a physical action. There is a vachik action. So speech, action by speech, and action by mind. So he says those who are following karma yoga, those who want to reach the higher, all these 3 types of actions are done without any kind of attachment. What is the attachment? First, there is attachment to the karma, and then there is attachment to the result. So before doing karma, there is doership, there is attachment. I like this action, so I will do it. And then after doing karma, a result is expected, because nobody will act without there being some result in mind. Some result has to be there. So the next part becomes that enjoyship. And this is what he's saying: abandon attachment. Abandon attachment at both levels. Not that I like this karma and then I won't worry about. See, if you have doership, definitely you have enjoyship. That's why there are not 2 things to be renounced. There is only one thing to be renounced. Just renounce the doership, that I am doing this action so that I can enjoy the result. Enjoyship is automatically taken care of. It is hard to give up the doership, because we think we are doing. We think we are the doers. Because for births and births, we have been thinking like that. It's a natural tendency. So now that we have come into this knowledge, we must try. We must try to do it without attachment. That's why even breathing, eating also, it must be done as this is a duty to my body. Medicines, vitamins. Nobody who will say that, oh, I love to take vitamins. Does anybody say they're a doctor? Do you think your patients tell you, give me more vitamins? Nobody likes, please, nobody. But then if your doctor has told you that maybe you need iron tablets, maybe you need this, then you take. Like I don't like. So that was, I think, climax. She says, if I don't have an orange in the house, I can't take vitamins. I'm like, what is the connection? What is the connection between an orange and vitamins? She goes, no, every vitamin tablet, I eat one orange, one this, and then only I can take the vitamin. Oh, this is real, huh? This is not joke. She really, this one, she says, orange nahi tha na, so vitamin nahi maine liya. I said, what? See, even Even I don't like to take, let me tell you. So then, you know what, you work, I'll tell you how I deal with this, because I have also got omega-3 vitamin. I don't have to tell you the list anyway. There's a usually calcium, blah, blah. So what I do is I follow the 80-20 rule. When I travel, I don't take my vitamin. I'll be very honest with you. I leave my vitamins. Only my prescription medication goes with me. That I continue. That has got no choice. But why? So then that gives me relief. Like, okay, now I have not taken it for 1 week or 2 weeks whenever I'm traveling, and now it's fine. I can come back and do it, right? So deal with it. Nobody, anything that you don't like to do, but you have to do, deal with it in your own way. That is what I'm saying. This is how I have dealt with the vitamins. Or if I go out for lunch, then I'm like, oh, I'm going out for lunch, forget the vitamins. So 80% of the time I'm eating at home. And 80% of the time, I promise, I do take my vitamins very sincerely. And without an orange, I don't have to have an orange to eat that. Or anything else, just water is fine. I can't swallow them like that. That also is true. I do need water. So I just swallow them. Right? So see that, because that is a duty to my body. You have to understand that even this body is not yours. It is a gift given to you by God. So you need to take care of the body. And if that is the way to take care of it, then that is what you do. That is what you do. That is acting without attachment. Okay. And then not any results, whatever doctor has said, do it, finish. Nothing like I'll have a long life because if I take, no, they don't have some ridiculous ideas like that. But body's prarabdha will take over, and whenever there's what will going to happen will happen. But you just do it for the sake of doing it. Then you have gone above attachment, likes and dislikes. Okay, all right. I'm just telling you how to do it. Remember the 80-20% rule. I like that, 80% of the time, because we are not yet at that stage. That's why. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayukta kama karena phale sakto nibadhyate. The united one, the well-poised or the harmonized, having abandoned the fruit of action, attains of eternal peace. The non-united, the unsteady or the unbalanced, impelled by desire and attached to the fruit, is bound. So Yukta karma phalang Yukta again, who is joined to Karma Yoga, who is doing following the principles of Karma Yoga to a T. Following it, he is the one who is well harmonized, he's well integrated, because we have four levels actually. Body is there, mind is there, intellect is there, and the spiritual personality is there. 4 personality levels we have. If we function at a lower level, the lower cannot control the higher. The lower can never control the higher. Higher means what? What is subtler? So, the example is, okay, so there is the body, and the body likes to eat sweets, okay? And the mind says, yeah, let's eat. But the intellect then, because it is higher than the mind, tells the mind, but you are a diabetic. You are, this is my favorite example. So your blood sugar is going to spike up. So do not do that. Now, if the mind listens to the intellect, because intellect is higher than the mind and the mind is higher than the body, then if the mind listens to the intellect, the body will come under control. The higher always controls the lower. Okay. Now, even the pranas are there. Pranas are also higher than the body. Okay. They are in between this thing. Now, suppose what happens is the pranas are not functioning, or they're functioning very well, and I can eat anything, like, okay, fine, I'm fine and I can eat. But the mind suddenly hears a sad news. Suddenly phone call comes, something bad has happened in the family or near and dear ones. Now, when the mind is disturbed that much, then the body is not going to eat, because now the mind is controlling the pranas and the body. You understand? So the mind is controlling the prana because the mind has now heard something sad. Something sad has happened to somebody passed, somebody, whatever. Now the mind is saying, no, 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 Baba, it doesn't matter. This food I like, but I can't eat it anymore. Right? Am I right? Are you with me? Now what happens is there is the intellect. So everything is okay. The mind is okay, body is okay, pranas are okay. But the intellect now has decided that it is going to fast on a particular day. I told you, like Ekadashi. Okay. So if the intellect has decided, then the intellect says, yes, all the systems are okay, mind is okay, happy, everything. There is food that you can eat. But now you have made a decision to fast on this day. So you must not eat these things. So now the mind controls the entire lower personalities. Anything that is higher will control the lower. Lower cannot control the higher. Okay. So when the intellect is firm that this is a sankalpa that you have done, that you're not going to eat, say, chocolates on a particular day, or you're not going to, go out or whatever the intellect decides, all other three personality layers, they will follow. And above the intellectual level is the spiritual level. So when the spiritual level, at the level of spirituality, when we are told that this attachment is going to bind me to the next birth. Okay, this is the spiritual level. This is not even the intellectual level. This is beyond intellect. This is study of spirituality, this Bhagavad Gita. So when it is said, karma phalam tyaktva, this yukta purusha, what has happened is all his personality layers are integrated. Integrated means what? Means each one is being controlled by the higher. Now he is acting, he is striving for that highest goal. So he is performing from the spiritual level, actually. When he does that, when we do, we fall because our mind becomes strong and mind says, oh, it's okay, like do whatever, right? But when this person, this is the definition of this yukta over here. What does it mean by yukta? Harmonized, well integrated, means his personality layers are being controlled by the highest, and that highest is spirituality, highest is intellect. In normal circumstances, it is intellect. It's like when, suppose in a corporate world, there are could be certain things that you may not want to tell the people, because if you tell them, then it could hurt them and your sales would go down, something like that scenario. But if the person is spiritual, he says, no, from a spiritual standpoint, this is wrong. Like, even though my company will benefit if I hide these things, but these are important things that the consumer should know. That is coming from the spiritual level. And if that is strong, then the person will never do something wrong. Because spiritually he thinks, you know what? Yeah, I will make money right now, but what happens to my future birth? That thought, that yukta person is the one who is functioning at that level. Now, when he functions at that level, karma phalam tyaktva becomes easy, because he knows that if I go after this worldly pursuit, if I go after this material result, my next birth is getting spoiled. Means I'm getting a new birth for that, because I have that. He knows that. That is why he says. So when he gives up this for the higher, there is always peace. Shanti mapnoti naishtikim. This tyaktva, renunciation, is the refusal to go into a projected future imaginary result. Projected, it is projected. Why? Because the result is not there right now. Why is it imaginary? Future itself is imaginary. How do you know the future will even come? So renunciation is of that. What is attachment? Attachment is a projected imaginary result. Attachment to that projected imaginary result. That is what attachment is. It's projected, it is imaginary, it is in the future. It's not there. Tangible result is not there while you're acting. You're acting so that you will get that result. So that refusal will come when you are fully integrated. So body knows that, okay, I don't like to do this, but the mind is saying, no, you have to. Mind is backing up the intellect. And then there is the spiritual level. So this is what he says. Line 1, he attains this Shanti Mapnoti. That's why this Shanti word is very important. Shanti, peace to the mind. The mind, if it is at peace, knowledge will become very, very clear. Purity of mind gives clarity in the intellect. That is what we are trying to go after right now. At our stage, we only have to worry about purifying our mind. And these are the principles. On the other hand, ayukta, so who is not well integrated, not harmonized. So, mind is telling one thing, intellect is saying something else, body wants to do something else. Kama karena, cause, because of the cause of desire. So there are so many, ayukta person will have a lot of desires in his mind. Desire comes when you put value on something else. A yukta person, once he knows what is the value of this object, material object, it may have value now, but it does not have value when it comes to my further births. It is actually a negative point if I go. This is the yukta person knows this. And that's why he doesn't run after it. He will work for it. He wants something, he will work for it, but he is not agitated. He's not disturbed. He works as a duty. He accepts that, okay, I am performing to the best of my ability, but yet I may or may not get that result, because that result, partially, it is dependent on what I have done in my past life. It is not, no result is dependent on the action that we are doing right now. It is partially effort in the present, and it's partially efforts that we have put in the past, which are unknown to us. And that's why only Ishvara knows that. That's why Ishvara alone is the karma phaladata, because he knows that in the past, this lot of work has been done. Now some work is being put. The result this person should get this result. This the ayukta person knows. The ayukta person doesn't know this. What he thinks is, I am doing this much work. I am working so hard. I must get this result. So he's not bringing Ishvara factor into it. He's only going up to his intellectual level. He's not going above that. He's not going into the spiritual level. You must bring Ishvara into that. You must understand that in every action, Ishvara is the karma phala data. The giver of the result is Ishvara. Updesha Raman Maharshi says, karma kim param karma tajjadam. Karma is inert. The ayukta person thinks that karma I'm doing, why will I not get result? Why will I not get result? Two intelligent people have a child. They think we are both so highly intelligent. My child has to be intelligent. And the child has got Down syndrome. Why? Why? If it was only based on the intelligence of the parents, why does the child have a defect? Because the child also has brought something from his past life, his or her past life. And the parents also have got something from their past lives. So remember this, do action. I'm not telling you not to do action. I'm not telling you to earn money. No. Everything you must do, depending on your stage in life, you must do. But remember this thing about result. Work hard. Hard work also, there is no alternative. Work hard. But just so that way you will be freed. Slowly, you will be freed from this bondage of samsara. So kama karena phale sakto nibadhyate, because the desire is so high, the value on material objects is so high, put so high that the desire has become high, then there is not the understanding that the result is based on present karma and past karma. The past karma is forgotten. Only present is being looked at. So there is only a partial picture. There is not a complete picture. Partial picture when you have, It is okay to have a partial picture. That is okay, because we are limited. So we cannot see what we did in the past. We only can see what I'm doing right now. How much work am I putting in right now? I can see that. But to consider that partial picture or partial knowledge to be complete is the mistake. That is the mistake. So you see what action you're doing, you work the hardest, whatever hard you can, but remember that there's something in the past that is now going to be having an effect on the result. When you have that thing in mind, you will not be that much disturbed when that result comes or doesn't come or something else comes. Okay. And when the desired result comes, the Yukta Purusha always says, thank you, Lord. It is because the recognition is there. Ishvara is the karma phaladata. So that recognition brings about a sense of gratitude. Whereas the Ayukta person thinks, I did the work and what has God gotten to do with it? That is Ayukta. So now that we are studying Bhagavad Gita, we must always, sometimes we'll get what we want, exactly what we want, or even more than what we want. There are times that also happens. It's not like every time only negative things are coming. Okay. So this is the difference between Yukta and Ayukta person. I have some notes here. So well integrated. What is the meaning of well integrated? So body, mind, intellect, I told you, a well integrated person will make quick decisions. The one who is centered in the self, so centered, he's centered, very centered. The external decisions are quick. He knows what is right. He knows what is wrong. He will make quick decisions, and he will have, there will be clarity as regards his own duty. What is clearly, what is my duty at this moment? Every moment duty changes. So that clarity will be there in the Yukta Purusha, number one line. And then there will be less desires as well. Because, why will there be less desires? Because he will be established in the fact that if this is meant for me, it is going to come to me. I don't have to run. I don't have to run. The Ayukta person, on the other hand, is not integrated, cannot make quick decisions. Do you know people who think and think and think and think so much for one small little thing? I have met people like that. I have people like that, my cousins, friends, how much thinking there. It's like, I said, I'll get a headache now if I think that much. Just make a, let's move on. Oh, in the board meeting, you should say, oh my God, senior center, they just won't talk and talk. No decision, no action, only talk. I thought, what is this, So that is the Ayukta Purusha, okay? And there is no clarity as regards what my duty is. Everybody in the senior center, they said, we must do this. One board member was talking to me the other day, says, we must do this, we must do that. Then only one question I asked him, please define we. Because you know what it is? We must do this, and nobody does it. We must do this, we must do that, we must do that. I said, okay, I'm not on the board. That's why there's no way that I'm going on the board. I said, define we, just define we. So then he said, oh, we means the board. I said, okay, the board has got so many members. Who in the board is going to be responsible to do this? Are you willing to take responsibility? So we word is very tricky. It's not like, okay, I will do this. Nothing like that comes out of it. Anyway, any questions? Everybody okay? Okay, shall we quickly read the next one? Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan karayan. Mentally renouncing all actions and fully self-controlled, the embodied one rests happily in the nine-gated city, neither acting nor causing others, body and the senses, to act. This is the description of a realized master once again. Okay, and this is how we should behave. So Navadvare Pure Dehi, let's just understand that and then we'll go into details next time. Dehi is the embodied one. Puri is a city, not Puri, eating Puri. city in Sanskrit. Puri means city. It's a place. So a city of 9 gates, Navadware. Now this Navadware, some people, so what it is referring to is our body. And the 9 gates or 9 apertures are 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, and 1 mouth, that is 7. And then the anus and the genitals. So that makes it 9. Now, I want to explain something. Some texts will say 11 gates and some texts will say 7 gates. Now, no need to fight with them. They're both correct, because when they say 7 gates, they're only referring to the face. So in the face, there is only 7, 2, 2, 1, and 2. So 2, 4, 6, and 7. So they are only referring to the face. They are not referring to anything else. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Shri Krishna is also referring to the anus and the genitals. So he has made it 9. So this is also correct. And those who say 11, they refer to the navel and the soft spot on the head. Okay. So that is also correct. So some texts, some Upanishad also, or some other masters, they say this, this city is of 11 gates. This city is of 9 gates. This city is of 7 gates. So no matter how many gates are mentioned, all of them are correct. That's the number one point I want to tell you. Now, Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasta. So Sanyasta renunciation, sannyasa. So in his mind, having detached from all the actions and fully self-control. So senses under his complete control, he lives like a king. So we will see, and he just lives and he doesn't do anything, and he does not make anybody else act either. Okay, so we'll see the details next time. So next, yeah, now I think till the Easter weekend, there is no long weekend, right? So next Sunday there'll be class and we will continue. It's a short chapter actually, only 29 verses. So we are on 13. Okay. All right, so far so good. Everybody, any questions? No, everybody's okay, clear? Good. All right, so we'll close for now and we'll meet you next Sunday. Om Swasti Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Shobharahita Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.